Jerry Jones just keeps talking about Micah Parsons. And it got a little ugly today. He went on Michael Irvin's podcast and said, I quote, he negotiated a deal with Micah Parsons before. He kind of
in private,
did a private without the agent there. And Jerry Jones told Michael Irvin, when we wanted to send the details to the agent, who's David Mulugheta, the agent told us to stick it up our keister. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get bleeped, but you can fill in the blanks there. Charles, this is ugly. This is an ugly turn, and it just seems like this is not progressing towards Micah Parsons being on the field. This is progressing towards we're digging in on each side, and is anything going to happen here? This is bad, isn't it, for these negotiations?
It's landscape changing. I mean, when you get to a point where the two sides aren't saying anything, you know, the direction of a negotiation can go a lot of different ways, you know, out of silence. But when there not only isn't silence, but now you're crossing a boundary, which is, once you cross a boundary and you start talking about what happened inside the negotiation, what you're doing is you're stacking sandbags, you're digging your foxhole.
Yeah.
Like, you're basically saying to the fans, we're not in the wrong here. And you can express whatever frustration you want, but here's what happened in the negotiation. So for him to effectively go out and say, we had the deal done, we sent it to David Mulugheta, he told it to stick it up our rear ends, and this is now ultimately where we're at. But not only did he say that, he also added in the extra sort of dimension of, well, hey, we ran out the clock with Dak Prescott with the number of years we had control on that deal. Mm-hmm. So to me, you're not
it's
only
almost
saying,
a threat.
Yeah, it's
We've done this
a
before.
threat. Yeah. Right. He said we can't deal with the agent, and we've gone through prolonged negotiations where we couldn't agree with an agent, and we went down that road with Dak Prescott. And to me, it's them signaling that this is real, this impasse is real, and now the only thing that can change this is if Micah Parsons says, I'm not playing any games.
Which is crazy. Let me ask you, because I don't think everybody kind of realizes that the Jerry Jones end around here with the agent is totally, this is not how business happens in the NFL. No. So why wouldn't and Jerry keeps saying, we had a deal done with Micah Parsons. Well, that deal doesn't mean anything without the agent there, right? Like, how, not concerning, but it's almost insulting to the Micah Parsons side that he's trying to end around the agent here, David Mulugheta.
And we've talked about this on the show in the past, that as a franchise, they have a reputation for doing this.
Yeah.
They have a reputation with star players. We're trying to corner them, for lack of a better term, corner them into one-on-one situations, negotiate deals behind the backs of agents, and then just tell the agents, well, you're not necessary now. We did the deal with the player. And look, okay, Jerry, maybe that's something that you could fly 30 years ago.
Right.
That's not how it works now. And, oh, by the way, David Mulugheta is not a one-player agent, right? He's not someone.
He's one of the most powerful agents in the NFL.
He is the most powerful agent in the NFL right now, and it's not a situation where you can go and say we're dealing with an agent who just doesn't know what he's doing, right? Because you do see that happen. You will see prolonged holdouts, and typically what you start to hear in the background is it's a one-player agent. He's going to fire his agent. He's going to hire Drew Rosenhaus, or he's going to hire David Mulugheta, and the deal will be done in a week. It'll be done. This is a completely different scenario. He's taking on the bull. Like, this is it. And, you know, so for this to be where it is for the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, it's as bad a situation as it could
Charles,
be now.
why is Jerry going this route? He knows you got to deal with the agents on this stuff. Like, this is going to be a $42 million a year deal, right? Why is he dug in so much on just, I am doing the end around on David Mulugheta here? Because he even brought that up today. He's like, hey, this isn't about the agent. He's trying to make it about him. Like, he's making this really personal with David,
right.
And I'm not sure why. Like, what's the point?
It's the unanswered question. I mean, there's look, in the past when Dak Prescott was doing this deal, Todd France and Stephen Jones were not best buddies. They were not on each other's Christmas card lists, right? But they still had a line of communication open. There has not been a point of vantage advanced to say why the Joneses refused to deal with David Mulugheta. Now, it could be that, as you said, you think it's a $42 million a year deal, and they know if we sit down with David, it's going to be a $45 million annual average value,
right.
And it's going to be not $160 million in guaranteed money. It might be 180. Who knows? David drives that kind of bargain. I mean, he sets records with his clients, and I think for Jerry, one thing he did say on Michael Irvin's podcast I thought that was interesting. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, I gave up ground in that negotiation. I did some things that I didn't want to do in that negotiation. That's great, but you're negotiating with a player.
Right.
His expertise is beating the living crap out of quarterbacks. It's not sitting down and figuring out every granular detail, figuring out structure, figuring out guarantees, injury guarantees. There's a multitude of facets that Jerry Jones holds the advantage when he's sitting there and he's dealing with a player versus an agent. It's a much more level playing field when it's an agent and owner.
Now, Ben, I wanted to go to you here because I look at the Cowboys situation now, and I think all three of us would have to be in agreement. Micah's not going to be there week one. Like, things can change, but we're so acrimonious right now. I don't think – how did the Cowboys change without Micah? Because I look at that team and I say, they ain't beating Philly week one without Micah Parsons. How many – looks to me like Jerry Jones is spiting his team right here because I don't think there's a 500 team without Micah Parsons.
And look, I mean, a couple things, right? First, it's great to be at a poker table. I think this could be a first for the podcast. Also, the Cowboys, they've done the tough part. They've drafted stars, right?
Right.
The contract negotiation should be the easy part, or easier. This is kind of set. It's just, does Jerry want to pay or not? And the price isn't going down as we get closer and closer to the season, one would think. Cowboys are a touchdown underdog to the Eagles in week one, right? That's a really important game for their entire season, let alone week one. A couple just betting nuggets that I thought were interesting from them too. Their win total is only 7.5, right? We think of that pretty low for the Cowboys.
I like the over before this Micah stuff. I can't lie.
That's their lowest since 2003, right? And their Super Bowl odds are 50-1. That's the worst since 2014. So odds makers, and that has been bet up, right? 60% of bets, 63% of the money at BetMGM on that over 7.5. So again, though, that's assuming, right, that Micah is playing. There are few teams, I think, that can obviously lose a player like Micah Parsons, but the Cowboys are one. They don't have the depth, right?
We saw their defense last year without Micah. It was not good.
And another thing, too, that the reason why I think that really factors here, Jerry keeps bringing up this negotiation with Emmitt Smith, right, decades ago, where he said, hey, Emmitt Smith missed 2 games that season. Charles Haley put his helmet through a wall after a loss,
right, when they were
and said, get it done, and in an expletive-laced tirade, right, that has become legend in Cowboys history. The difference was the Cowboys knew they had a Super Bowl winning team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had
They could dig out of 0-2 and win a Super Bowl. Emmett won MVP that year. Yeah.
And Charles Haley did it because he knew we have the team. What are you doing? Like, why are you destroying our chance to win a Super Bowl? And they won a Super Bowl that year after Emmett came back in and signed the deal. But that pressure is not there. This could be maybe it's a 7-win team without Micah. Maybe it's a 9-win team with Micah. So the pressure there and thinking you're burning a year of a Super Bowl window, maybe if you're sitting there and you're kind of playing it out, you're saying it's better to burn the year, make the stand now, than affect what we believe is going to be a larger window down the line, right? And it's again, I can't believe it's here, and we found all these different ways to look at the situation and think maybe it's a ploy, maybe it's not as bad, maybe, I brought up the conspiracy theory of like maybe Jerry's doing this to pump up the Netflix. I'm telling you, when you go out and you say the agent told us to stick it up our rear, it is over. That is it. You are as bad as it can be right now.
And just jumping in on expectations, right? We said 50-1 for their Super Bowl odds. No team has won the Super Bowl since 2001. The 2001 Patriots were 60-1 with odds 40-1 or worse, right?
Oh.
So again, records are being made to be broken. That can all happen, but this isn't a team we
this ain't the 99 Rams.
Exactly.
Like, it ain't going to happen. Real quick, how do you guys think this turns out with Micah and the Cowboys, Ben?
I think it gets done. I think it's just a question of when it gets done. These all seem acrimonious until there's a lot of money put in front and it's signed. He's way too important to that team. One of the best defensive players in the league. They have to get it done.
I don't know now.
Yeah, right. That's where I'm at.
I don't know because now it's open combat between he and David Mulugheta now that he has said this. And I don't know Mulugheta to be the type to fold in this situation, go, fine, we'll do it your way. And I don't know Jerry to be the type to fold either. I think we could see Micah sit out, miss a couple of games, ultimately come back in and play. Or maybe he comes in and he plays regardless. But I think there's a very, very larger percentage chance now that Micah plays in 2025 without an extension. He just plays the contract
just
out.
Plays it out. But then the franchise tag comes in, and we haven't heard the end of this. This is getting worse. I thought it was going to get better before it got worse. That's not true. Let's transition.